All right, we're half an hour away from the close of trading. To set us up for the afternoon as well as the rest of the week, we've got Ian Weiner, Director of Equity Trading at Wedbush Securities in LA. Ian, thanks so much for joining us. So we've been on quite a run for the U.S. markets, 4 straight weeks of gains. Is the Fed going to help us get to 5 by Friday?
Well, I certainly don't think they're going to get in the way of it. I'm not really sure what they're going to say that's going to be a huge surprise to anybody at this point. They've been pretty clear that, March is sort of off the table at this point. I think that would be a surprise if they did anything as far as raising rates. And I'm sure the commentary will read that they're data dependent, and we'll be waiting here for yet another month to see if anything changes.
We are going to get those beloved dot plots, and I have to admit I do get excited when they come out. And the expectation is that the long-run forecast for interest rates will come down to where the market is, because there still is a disconnect between the Fed projections of where rates are going and what the market is pricing in.
Well, I would just say this. First, I'm surprised that the dots are exciting, but okay. Second, I would just say that, the Fed has consistently missed almost every recession, every forecast that's been out there. So if I were going to go with one of those two, I would go with what the bond market's saying. And what the bond market is saying is that we're going to continue to be mired in very sluggish growth and don't expect more than a couple of rate hikes at best this year.
All right, you've called me out on my plain vanilla Canadian lifestyle. Our elections aren't as fun as yours. Your elections are really heating up. Maybe let's talk about what could potentially happen. And another Super Tuesday tomorrow, big primaries for the Republicans. Are we really seeing much of an election effect on the stock market?
Well, I think that people are very concerned in any scenario other than Hillary Clinton at this point, which is shocking in and of itself, but she seems to be the most market-friendly person that we could have. If Trump comes out tomorrow with a clear lead, meaning that he takes both Florida and Ohio, then I think the market's going to get nervous. Most of Trump's policies are protectionist and will probably be a major issue for the economy. That is, assuming you believe what he says, which I'm not sure anybody does, but that would be, if he sticks to his word and his sort of third-grade economics, we will be in trouble.
Do you think that there's much conversation? I know there's a lot of conversation on trade, but what Trump running could do to tourism, and I think about the rising U.S. dollar and how much that hurt a lot of companies that depended on tourism. Could this be yet another hit on that front? I'm thinking about names like Tiffany and things like that that were really hurt, and they blamed lack of tourism as the reason.
That would certainly be an issue. It'd be great for Canada because there's going to be a heck of a lot of people looking to move there permanently. If that were to happen. So, but I think it's bad for pretty much anything commerce related. If you look at, as far as what it's going to cost just to buy things in here, if we actually put up those tariffs with China and everybody else, and then you go so far as to say, all right, well, what does this mean for U.S. manufacturers? And I'm not sure his whole thing about, Sealed Air and all these different companies that are, exporting our jobs overseas. I'm not really sure why they would come back overseas. And if they do, you can be sure that you're going to be paying twice or 3 times as much for every item you have.
Ian, would you really leave the LA sunshine for our Canadian winters?
I would pretty much go anywhere but here. And you can throw Bernie Sanders in that group as well. If either of those two are president, you can expect a massive uptick in Canadian in fact, you want to buy Canada real estate, that's for sure.
Well, what would happen to real estate in those travel destinations in the U.S., like Arizona and Florida, where Canadians like to go?
Well, I don't know. You tell me. I mean, if I'm sure a large portion of the buyers in those apartments were from 2 communities. First, the very rich, i.e. Chinese and other countries who are now going to be boxed out of the market. And I'm sure the Latino community is pretty big in Arizona and in Florida. And as far as Trump goes, there's going to be a significant amount of them who are going to be deported. So, I think that is going to create a serious problem for if I were owning real estate in Florida right now, I'd be a little bit nervous, that's for sure.
Would you be nervous about the home builders, or is this kind of, at the margin kind of concern?
No, if Donald Trump becomes president of this country, the S&P is going to go to 1,000. That's my prediction. So if that's, people seem to be brushing it off, but I can tell you that there's just absolutely no way that this market and this economy does not get pounded if any of the policies that he's talking about go in. So yeah, bad for home builders, bad for everybody, but most of all bad for United States of America.
All right, Ian, we're going to leave it on that bold call, and perhaps we'll have to bring you back as the one who called it come November.
I may be on set if this goes like this.
All right, Ian, thanks so much.
Thank you.
It was Ian Weiner at Wedbush Securities.